I mean, this goes right back to minding your own business. You should have
It
minded your own
smelled so
business.
fucking bad. I couldn't do it. The plant should have minded its own fucking business.
That's fair.
Welcome to the Beacon House Podcast, recorded live in Knoxville, Tennessee.
And that's how I tricked Hunter into not showing up today. So, I mean, you could do another episode by ourselves.
Dang, you're a sneaky bastard.
What?
What?
Yeah. I'm hoping that the fake snow machines I put around his apartment, when he opened it up, it looked really detrimental and terrible outside.
Yeah,
So-
because this is definitely not a real snow for sure.
Not like 93.
No, definitely not. Guys, what's going on? It's a Beacon House Podcast today coming at you guys. We hope everybody's doing okay. And we're recording on this almost snowy day.
It's just gross.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
It's slushy, fucking whatever.
Like, you know it's not good snow when you step outside and it goes, you're just like, ugh, gross.
And at least it's not covering the roads. There's nothing on any of the roads, and it's fine. So it's safe. That's usually everybody's biggest concern about it. Fucking when it snows in East Tennessee, like everything just goes to shit.
Yeah. Bread and milk. God. Got to make your milk sandwiches.
Yeah. So at any rate, yeah, we hope everybody was okay and you didn't get snowed in and all that.
This honestly seems like the kind of snow that when they do salt the roads, it's perfect for it. Like the salt, it's that kind of like already melted snow. So just adding something on that melts it even further.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, one of the big dangers they have about, when they salt the roads or they treat it with like the ice melter or whatever, is that it's going to initially work, but then if it rains, it can wash it off, and then the rain can freeze. And then there's just so many different little things. And sometimes even if it's below freezing, if the road is in sunlight or a well-lit area, it won't freeze. It'll evaporate. You know, there's just all kinds of like variables, and like main roads might be clear, but back roads might be shitty, and it's just hard to tell. The biggest thing is to just use your head and be careful. So we hope everybody does that, but
By the time this episode comes out, it'll already be...
It'll be like 60
gone.
fucking degrees again.
Yeah. It'll be like 49 degrees outside. There'll be no sight of snow. People are like, it snowed? When did it snow?
Well, and we're definitely in for at least one or two good snows. I think every year we at least get one or two good snows, but they're usually in like February.
Yeah, we're in for some... January, February, and March, we're in for a hurt, I feel like.
There's usually at least one crappy one. Like and again, if you have the luxury of staying home and whatever, it's great. I remember that as a kid. I personally haven't had that luxury in years and years and years. Like whether it snows or not, I have to go to work. And so, you have to employ little tactics like don't park at the bottom of a fucking hill, like the night before. You're going to preemptively be ready. Some people carry cat litter or whatever in their car to pour into the tires to get traction, or, I'm just here to tell you, like, not that I would consider any of our listeners below average intelligence, but I mean, you did choose to listen to this podcast, which doesn't say a whole lot for you.
Hey, whoa.
Oh, sorry. That was wrong of me. But no, like, if you go into the winter, like with fucking bald tires on your car and like no tire chains or no plan on how to get out of your driveway, or like you don't have a shovel, or you don't even have some like rock salt, or even regular, table salt melts snow and ice just as much as rock salt does.
Yeah.
If you don't have at least some plan to like get out of your house and be able to join the world in the event of snow, then you're asking for it,
Well, I work in a hotel, and so what's funny about that is I can't even like try and like, oh, it's gonna snow, I might not make it tomorrow, and it's like, no, it's fine, we got a room here you can stay in. It's like you can't. There's no calling out when you work in a hotel.
Totally, yeah, because you can live there.
Day. Yeah, you can stay here the next couple of days. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Fuck yeah, no shit. Well, that's kind of cool, and even
it is kind of nice, a little staycation.
Well, and even at my job, like if we go to work and then it gets sometimes after dark, it gets bad, and they'll actually get us a hotel. Real close to where we work, they'll get us a hotel to stay in, and so you just go there, and that's kind of nice. It's like you have a little adventure, and like so. I mean, I get it. I hope nobody has to fucking sleep in their car because they get stranded in the snow or ice or anything like that. If you do, take a blanket.
I don't think it's gonna get that bad.
Well, in some parts of the country, I mean, you never know. Like even today, it's not bad at all in Knoxville. Like and I still know some people that fucking, they were like, the roads are bad, and I'm literally standing outside looking at the roads, and like there's nothing on them. I'm just
Keats and Pike's already dry.
Yeah,
like when I was driving here,
not
Keats
even
Pike's
wet anymore.
Yeah, it's not even wet.
Fucking, but no, some people just see. There's a really funny SNL clip.
People freak out. They freak out when they see it.
There's a hilarious SNL clip of like how Southerners react to like 1 inch of snow, and it's on Weekend. Just Google it. It's on Weekend Update. It's so funny. But by that same turn, another coworker of mine texted me real early this morning, and she was in Morristown, not far from here at all, maybe an hour away, and she sent me a picture, and it looked like fucking the Nightmare Before Christmas.
From my understanding, about an hour east, and then all the way through North Carolina is getting like 5 inches. Like they're getting busted with snow right now.
Yeah. So you can't just go, my street's clear, and man, I know places that like even after it all melts, there's certain places that are just so shaded, they'll have fucking snow and ice for like almost into summer. Like is that ever gonna fucking melt?
Yeah. Where my dad's neighborhood is, there's 3 or 4 spots going uphill on both sides that no sunlight ever reaches ever, and so when it snows and ice is over, there was times where I had to like park at the bottom of the neighborhood and like walk up because it's just you can't get your car up there.
Man,
and yet he makes it to work somehow every day.
That's funny. That's like, yeah, man. Have you ever had like a really bad snow scare? Do you have any like horror stories about getting stuck in a blizzard or not getting home or almost like?
I mean, I was so young in the '93 blizzard that it didn't affect me. I've had problems where more with ice than snow, where it's like I'm somewhere and all of a sudden it starts raining ice and you're like, oh, it's not even snowing. It's just literally raining hard pellets of ice. The whole ground is covered in ice.
The universe is shitting on us right now. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
That's
like you
terrible.
go outside and it's like everything looks fine, but then you step in it and it's just like crunch and you like, oh, it's just a sheet of ice everywhere.
Man, it's not. This is not from the blizzard of '93, which I do have a couple stories about that. I was old enough then to like. We didn't drive in it, but I was driving by then. I think I was like 16 or something, and it fucking. I have a couple stories about that, but like maybe like 12 years ago. There was a pretty bad ice storm here in Knoxville. It lasted about 3 days. And I remember trying to get home from work at night. And man, it was just, there were so many wrecks that it was just bumper to bumper traffic everywhere. And it took me something like, I have about a 20-minute drive home. It took me 4.5 hours to get home from work.
God.
Because just literally the interstate was like one lane and it was going 5 miles an hour and it was just horrible. And at one point, I even called a friend of mine who was my roommate at the time. I go, man, do you know any alternate ways to get home? This is fucking terrible. And he goes, yeah, get off the interstate and like go down this road and there should be a straight shot to, our street or whatever. And it was like a huge hill. And I got behind a tractor trailer that was currently jackknifing as I was behind it. It was trying to go down and up another big hill and it couldn't make it up the other big hill. And I was behind this fucking thing. So I had to like reverse up a hill. And luckily, like I had a little 5-speed that just was kick ass in the snow, and like I was able to get up that hill and get out of the way of that tractor trailer. But it was like for a minute I was like, this is fucking scary. Like we're like every car is gonna wreck. We're gonna just, if you're in a car, prepare to wreck. This is happening.
It's like when I had my Durango, driving when the roads were covered in white still terrified me, even though I had like brand new tires on it. It's a truck, like it's 4-wheel drive, but 4-wheel drive on ice, it's just 4 wheels on ice. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, nothing matters on ice. Nothing sticks to ice.
I love people who are like, when I worked at Target and it was like covered in ice, my only way was going downhill to get to work, and I was like, I can't make it.
Yeah.
Like I've gotten my truck stuck. I can't make it. And they're like, doesn't your truck have 4-wheel drive? And it's like, yeah, but 4-wheel drive on ice is just 4 wheels that can't get traction. It's not going to help. You're
true.
better to have 2-wheel drive on ice, because that way when you go to slide, there's 2 wheels that aren't,
or just go down the hill in somebody's yard, like don't get on.
That's what I had to do. I had to take pictures of my truck in like this grassy, muddy ditch and just be like, can't get it out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's fucking bad. And I do remember the blizzard of '93 because like it was bad. I had a couple friends that did get their cars out and they were driving around the whole time, like bringing people like, well, because there was no power.
Yeah.
I lived in West Knoxville at the time.
We had power at our place the entire time.
We were without power for about 4 days. 3 or 4 days, to the point where we had a kerosene heater. It was the only thing keeping us warm in the house. And we had taken the groceries and put in, like, the stuff that was refrigerated. We'd taken that stuff outside and put it in, like, the snow. Like,
I would have just filled a cooler up with snow and stuffed it in the cooler.
Well, that's kind of what we did. But it was so cold outside. It was below. It wasn't. Man, I don't know. I don't know if it was below freezing. It was cold. It was cold as fuck. It was cold enough to keep groceries good. The typical temperature range, I think, on refrigeration is 33 to 38. But it was cold enough for us to keep our food in a cooler outside and then stay warm with this kerosene heater. But the problem is, a kerosene heater doesn't heat an entire house. So, like, in the bedrooms and stuff, we were, like, bundled up. And, like, my girlfriend at the time was there. She got stuck there with us. So it was kind of neat because it was, like, my friend Joe Hurley that we talked about. In fact, the last time it was just me and you on a podcast, we talked about Joe. He was there. And my girlfriend at the time. So it was kind of like some friends and then my folks. And, like, it was okay.
Yeah.
But it started to really suck after a few days because there was no hot coffee. Like, it sucked, like, doing everything by candlelight for, like, a bunch of days. And again, I know I sound like such a fucking, like, 21st century.
That's just so weird that you lost power for that long. Like, I was over in the Farragut Carnes area, and I think we had power the whole time.
Dude, our fucking whole neighborhood was without power. A whole bunch of West Knoxville was without power for so long. Yeah. Like, literally right up the road from Books A Million. That's where we lived. And, I mean, the whole subdivisions were without power. So it was pretty rough. And I remember one of the crazy things I remember about the blizzard of 93 was in the middle of the night, me and a couple friends decided we were going to walk. We knew there was a gas station open, and it was about a mile away, give or take, right up there by...
Bundle up and hike it.
We did. We bundled up like fucking crazy. And it was actually so cold, they were recommending you don't go outside. And we were like, fuck that. Like, we wanted coffee so bad, even shitty gas station coffee. We took like 2 or 3 thermoses and like a couple backpacks to load up with groceries and whatever. And we fucking started out. We took off. We walked all the way to like where the interstate is in the middle of the night. And it was so fucking fun. It was crazy because it just looked like another world.
Yeah.
It was like being on Mars. And there was no car anywhere.
Yeah.
No car as far as you could see.
And quiet, so quiet.
Dude, before we went to the gas station, we decided, we walked past the gas station and like over the top of the interstate. We looked both ways down the interstate and there were no cars on the interstate.
Post-apocalyptic.
It was like the end of the world. It was so crazy. And to this day, I've never seen Knoxville like that. Never. Not on a holiday or anything like that. I mean, it was totally deserted. And occasionally you would see like another guy far off, like walking with like a lot of, clothing on, like a cloaked figure,
Yeah.
So it was very it was super post-apocalyptic. And we walked right to the intersection. I think it was Walker Springs and Kingston Pike. We walked right in there and sat down literally in the middle of Kingston Pike in between 4 different red lights and just watched them change. And we probably sat there for like 20 minutes. And
that must have been kind of magical though.
Oh, it was so magical. It was like it was like one of those movies where somebody like flips a switch or whatever and like freezes everything and then they can do whatever they want in the world or whatever. It was totally like that. But it was also super fucking creepy. Because like you just get the idea of what like a totally isolated town would look like or something, and the lights are just changing and no cars are coming. We didn't have to get up and move for a car the whole time we sat there. Like we actually, the reason we eventually moved is we just got up and walked back across the interstate to the gas station.
Cold.
Yeah, well, we were bundled up a lot and we'd been walking a lot. So it was a little cold, but we actually were pretty warm from like body heat, so we walked to the gas station. We filled all our shit up with we had backpacks. We were like getting bread and, crackers or, whatever like that. Here's where things went south. Is one of the magical characters we had with us in our little, our little gang that night was Joe Hurley, who we've previously talked about on this podcast, who sold the car to the psychic, Joe Hurley's the source of a lot of bizarre childhood stories for me, just so you know. Maybe one day we'll have him on the podcast. But
I've heard all your stories, and yes,
he's a fucking character.
He always shows up.
Yeah. And anyway, we were all trying to go, what we get the most mileage out of? Can we carry eggs all the way back? Well, I don't know. Do we have any way to cook them? That kind of thing. Like, we're getting a lot of like potted meat, I feel like, or stuff that doesn't have to be cooked. Spam. We had no fucking power. And we're trying to figure out if we can heat up a can of soup on that fucking kerosene heater, But at any rate, Joe Hurley had the presence of mind to in his backpack, he smuggled 3 jars of pickled eggs back to the house. which he ate literally like that night. And we were there for like another day without any power.
He ate 3 jars in one night?
It was a lot. I don't know if it was 3. It was, put it this way. It was enough to where the whole fucking house smelled like Easter. And like, and because we were trying to conserve heat, we didn't want to open the windows. So it was terrible. And my friend John Lumen came by. He had a little 5-speed where he was out. And like, that car would go anywhere. There were police in ditches. And he was just driving all over town, making sure people had stuff. He stopped by the house. And when he walked in, his exact words were, "What happened here? This smells like a shit house." So I was like, Joe, fucking always, But anyway, it started to get like worse. And we were getting to the point where like, look, this sucks. And like, we can't even take a shower. Like we had no hot water. Like we're going to have to go to a hotel or something like that. And so we packed everything in the car and like we had started to leave and like we forgot one thing and we went back to get it. And when we went back, we saw the porch light had come on and we knew that they turned the power back on. So we actually like just pulled back in and that was kind of the end of it. But it was really, really crazy time. And there have been some pretty bad isolated things in Knoxville since then. But I think, man, that probably was like the most shut down I've ever seen this town since I've been around,
And the craziest thing I remember from the blizzard of 93 is my mom, we have home video of it, but my mom got freaked out because a storm blew through during the blizzard and it was like thunder and lightning during a snowstorm.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And everyone in the house at our house freaked out because we didn't think that was possible.
That's like fucking White Fang or something.
Yeah, and of course everyone's freaking out. My dad's like, "It's totally normal. It's fine. It happens." My brother, me, and my mom are just like, "Oh my God, it's the end of the world."
I know. It looks pretty fucking crazy.
It is crazy because it's like the sky is dark like an actual thunderstorm, but it's snowing. It's like peaceful, and then you see like streaks of lightning, and you're like, "What?"
Yep. Yeah, you don't see that a lot, but it was definitely going on back then. So yeah, blizzard of 93. That's a big one on the map for Knoxville.
Super crazy. I want another one. I want another one right now.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Maybe if we got snowed in down here.
I don't want to be snowed in this room.
What are you talking about? We could podcast every fucking day. We'd be like, okay, Blizzard 92, Blizzard fucking 93, Blizzard 94, Blizzard episode 16.
You just want like 16 backup episodes so you don't have to do another episode for a couple months.
Look, all I'm saying is that like as long as the food places near here were open and you could walk and get like something to eat, and the coffee place or whatever.
There's no heat down here.
What? I mean, it doesn't.
Where would you sleep?
We're back at well, okay, edit. People don't really know where we are, but I don't know. I wouldn't mind getting snowed in where we could podcast, but not for like days. Maybe for like
a day,
like one night, But yeah, fucking,
who knows?
What else?
So, Spence, I wanted to talk to you because we've discussed this several times. I'm pretty sure we've discussed this several times, either just me and you talking or on this podcast about minding your own business and the importance of it.
Yes, a recurring theme, the importance of knowing when to mind your own fucking business.
Exactly. And so I want to tell you a story of this American guy named John Chow who took it upon himself to
I'm guessing he did not mind his own business.
In a sense, no. He took it upon himself to go to India. And off the coast of India, there's these Sentinel Islands where tribes are that have not been in contact with the outside world for hundreds and hundreds of years. And he wanted to go and convert them to the good word of Christianity.
Okay.
It did not go well from, of course, my tone of voice.
Okay.
And let me just go in and start off this story by saying these people have not been in contact with the outside world for hundreds and hundreds of years, which means they don't know what the common cold is. They don't know what the flu is. They've not been in contact with our germs. They have their own culture, their own germs, their own society. And this guy, to an extent, took precautions by isolating himself in a hotel room for 10 to 12 days. But it's also a hotel room that's not really sterile environment. And so he hired some fishermen illegally to take him to this island.
Okay. What? See, all right. Already, even if this is not a terrible idea, which it sounds like a terrible idea, already there's tons of problems with this. First off, this guy's like this devout Christian missionary that's going to convert people, yet he's hiring illegal fishing boats to take. So he's already like breaking the law and doing terrible things.
Well, the fishermen aren't illegal. It's illegal to hire them for them to take him to these waters so he can get to the island.
Okay, so maybe he gets
Sorry,
a pass.
I reworded.
Well, but maybe okay. So maybe he's not terrible.
But
yet.
the fishermen are very much like, don't do this. Like this tribe is very like, we as fishermen avoid this area because they have really good aim with bows, and they shoot our boats if we get too close. So we don't even go near this island. Don't do it.
Right.
And he's like, shut up. Here's my money. And he got a bunch of dead fish and his Bible and got a little boat off the coast of this island, row it ashore, hops off. The tribe comes out of the woods. He throws a bunch of dead fish at him and then holds up his Bible. Right? And he holds it up, and a 9-year-old kid from his journals, because he made 2 attempts. This is his first attempt.
Because this already sounds like a biblical narrative with the fish and the book,
And he held up his Bible, and he said what looked to be like a 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid reared back his bow and shot the Bible point blank, like dead on.
Fuck.
And the guy took that, like he stayed on the island for a little while and actually got some of the people to think about converting, and then he left. And because he started to piss a couple of the elders, I guess was what you would call them. He started pissing them off. So then he left, went back to India, wrote in his journal about how they shot his book, but they, they might have shot my Bible because they thought it was a piece of tree bark or something.
Yeah, or not. Or they're extremely fucking hostile.
Or you showed up through fish and then just started shouting with waving a book in the air.
Like most rational people, if they would have said, hey, how's it going? Nice to see y'all. Then the arrow comes. They would have been like, whoop, too bad, can't stay, gotta go. That would have been it. Oh, they shot a fucking arrow at me. This was a bad idea. See you guys later. Have fun with you keep the fish. No hard feelings. It's Gucci, fam. Fucking, that would have been it. This fucking dude would have hightailed it back to fucking mainland, But I'm guessing that's not how it went.
He went back.
Fucking.
A second time.
All right.
And this time, from my understanding of what I've read, he didn't make it off the beach. Like, he shows up on the beach. I guess they talked while he was gone, and he comes back walking up on shore, and they just Boromired the shit out of him.
Shit.
That's kind of it. That's I feel bad about that joke. He gets riddled with arrows. They murdered the shit out of him. I don't know. Is it murder? Is it?
I bet they shot this guy with so many fucking arrows that the arrows had arrows sticking out of him.
I don't. All I know, it's not good. Now there's this whole legal battle, and everyone's arguing over whether or not they can go to the island to get the kid back or get his body back. And from my understanding, they're not going to do it.
Well, I feel like that islands like that are that isolated, where they know there are people on them, but you're not supposed to go visit them, and they're trying to keep things like the common cold or our viruses off of the island, or maybe their viruses out of us too. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's a matter of sovereignty, and I know that there's such a thing as a protection, which is it could be a sovereign tribe or a sovereign island. And I don't know exactly who has dominion over that, but somewhere there's rules where hey, don't go to this fucking island, or hey, do, or somebody can go, okay, you can go get the body. But I would be willing to bet there's not much of that body left. I'm just saying, I don't know. It's not like they're going to have it all bundled up in a package ready to hand. If they're shooting, literally if the guy didn't even get out of the water and there were fucking arrows going up his ass, I'm just saying. And again, I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound insensitive. I'm sure if the guy had a family and had, but that said,
he broke the law to do this.
Also, what the fuck are you doing out there with no protection if you've got a family back home?
He's got the power of Christ.
Well, and again, this is where I always bring up an important thing that a very smart, very, very intelligent guy who a friend of my dad's who has published books out of Oak Ridge, probably the smartest guy I've ever known in my entire life, who was a Christian too, and a scientist. And he said, when people would complain about, wanting things from God or wanting protection, he would go, look, God gave you a brain, use it. What else could you possibly ask for? It's literally the most powerful weapon, the most powerful coping mechanism, the most powerful invention. It's the most powerful thing ever experienced by an animal on this planet. And you've got it. So why are you crying about wanting other stuff? Oh, I didn't get the right kind of cereal. The good Lord tripped me up behind the line of scrimmage. Shut the fuck up.
It just baffles me that, I understand he took precautions. He understood that he could make these people sick. But his precautions were very lazy, I guess. Like
that's
hanging
just
out in
like-
a hotel room for 10 or 12 days isn't going to prevent you from, making these people sick. You
what's
still
the difference in
carry
a guy,
germs on you.
Yeah, and if the guy had any other responsibilities, like if he had family or something, what's the difference in a guy that does something like that or goes just like out jumping in front of a train? Like, oh, don't worry, the Lord will protect me. Dude, you got kids.
Yeah.
I don't know if the guy actually had kids or not.
I think he was in his early 20s. I don't think he had. But he's still a son, I'm sure. Like, he's still got a family that probably didn't want him to do that.
Well, and I would say this too. There are types of missionary work that are not fanatical. He could have been somewhere like our friends that from Awakened City Church that go to like South America and they actually help poor people and they stay there and they, you know what I mean? They pass out food and they help them do things in the village and like, there's other kinds of missionary work you can do that's legal and non-destructive and won't almost certainly get you killed.
Yeah.
I will add one thing to this though. This story that you're telling.
You showed me a meme.
Joe Rogan posted a thing on Instagram and I don't know where he got it, but it says, North Sentinel Island. And it talks about this exact thing. It says, this is where that missionary went a couple weeks ago and got shot up by arrows while trying to bring the good book to a tribe of people whose ancestors left Africa 60,000 years ago and have managed to avoid integrating with modern world ever since.
Oh, see, I was way off. I thought it was just hundreds and hundreds of years. It's thousands.
Their ancestors left Africa 60,000 years ago, and they've not integrated with the modern world. But the meme shows a couple of these guys on the beach holding bows and arrows, and it says border control world champions.
I think it's funny. I don't think it's funny. People are going to think I'm heartless because the way I feel about this. But honestly, it's just this whole situation could have been avoided if one person just minded their own business and didn't have to be on a mission to go to an already known to be hostile tribe to try to push something on them that they don't necessarily need.
Yeah, and again, I agree with you. But just to play devil's advocate, I would say there are a lot of people who would argue that, well, throughout history, if people just minded their own business, we would never have discovered new continents and new lands, or they never would have come up with a cure for the common cold or like penicillin. If people just minded their own business, we would never have breakthroughs. That you know what I mean?
But I think there's certain instances where minding your own business is better than not.
I agree too, and usually that's in somebody's personal business. But again, depending on and I'm not I'm not fucking Lara Croft, but somebody's got a good reason why that island needs to be explored somewhere, like an archaeologist or somebody is going to go, no, we got to get in there eventually, and like. You know what I mean? Like somebody's going to be able to justify why they needed to go there. Now, if the guy just needed to go there to try to convert them, even then, people claim that there's a good reason to do missionary work. I'm not saying there is, but
there's other countries who want it and need it.
There are countries, and when good friends of ours go and do missionary work all the time in South America, and they actually do really good things. They do amazing things. Again, but I think if somebody, just the fact that the guy went there once, they shot an arrow at him, and he went back again. I mean, at that point, you're just asking for it.
Not only that, it's illegal. You're breaking the law doing it.
Yeah, that again.
So to risk breaking the law to do that a second time and then dying, and then now everyone's like, you need to get his body back. No, I'm sorry. You broke the law, and now your body is stuck on an island. No one's going to go get it.
Well, and I don't know how that stuff works either. I know that like in war, they bring bodies back, even if it's.
But this risks contamination to bring someone who broke the law to get there to trespass.
I'm just claiming I don't understand the
God, I sound like a heartless asshole.
Well, no, and I don't know what country the guy's from. I know if you're an American and something like that happens to you, they go get your fucking body. Like the army goes and gets it. They don't observe.
I don't think they would. I think if I went to that island and died, they would not go get my body.
Well, there's a lot of people that haven't come back, but they've also sent missions in to get people. Even like the body of the soldier that whatever. I mean, they have a very like big honor code. Like you don't just leave guys wherever.
Now here's the crazy part. That's a very sad story. Here's the insane part that I want to bring up. What if this guy had a pocket knife on him?
What do you mean?
These people have never seen metal before. Like they live.
Like, are we sure of that?
They live off wood and stone. I'm pretty sure. Like if they had metal, they would be able to do things like. I mean, their spears and arrows wouldn't be.
No, I get it. I get it. Just it's. I don't know at what point metallurgy comes up, and like even our ancestors that were not Homo sapien sapien had tools. Do you realize we had fire before we were people?
Yeah, no, I get that.
So there's things.
But when did they start realizing that they could take rock that had metal in it and melt it down and make something out of it?
I don't know.
There's no way.
I don't know what their level of sophistication is, but
can you imagine? I mean, even like if a ship ran ashore on that island.
I know that like 12,000 years ago, people with just the same chance as them were that advanced already. You know,
I think it's fascinating that if they don't have metal, which I really don't think
they probably don't,
but all of a sudden they have this pocket knife that they can break the blade off of and turn it into a spear. They now have jumped from the Stone Age to like the metal age, like age of metal. And they now can, like if a ship runs ashore, they now have ways to rip metal off that using other metal utensils and whatever that guy had on them. He pushed their evolution forward just by dying on
and I can't believe that this guy's laying on the beach over there, not being totally examined and picked apart. Like, there's no way.
I'm pretty sure they're probably...
They must have looked every inch of this guy over and, like, studied, because that's human nature.
Well, it's also, he looks different from them.
Yeah, they're going to figure out, what's this guy? Where'd he come from? What happened? It's going to change everything about... Yeah, that's the whole idea of, like, interrupting the natural course of things. Like, they're on this course of natural development that's whatever, but then this fucking guy shows up, does something, and it changes their whole thing forever.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if they now think of him as a god, which would be completely negating what he was trying to do, because he's a false god to them now, and so now they're going further away from Christianity.
Yeah, and it's just that's that whole argument about people just bumbling the things they're supposed to do, and there's a lot of that in organized religion, and that's just like the people that, like, at these churches where they handle snakes. Okay.
Did you see? I have a story where I saw a video of a guy, a snake handler, and he got bit in the face by the rattlesnake.
I mean...
And then he just sat there and kept preaching. They're like, you need to go to the hospital. He's like, no, I'm fine.
Dude, I met one of those guys, and I was actually interviewed, and it was for National Geographic, because I was out in Clinton with a couple of friends. We were going through those antique shops, and there was this very well-dressed guy walking around on... It's this very charming little street, you know, the magic of Clinton. And anyway, there was a guy walking up and down, and he came up to me. I was with these two girls. He came up to us and goes, "Hey, would you want to answer some questions about, like, freedom to practice blah, 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 blah." And of course I was like, "Oh, you want to talk about freedom? Yeah, I'd love to talk about freedom." I'm ready. And so he goes, all these people come out of nowhere with cameras and stuff. And they go, "Well, you have to sign a release to be in the video." And I was like, "I'll sign it right here. What do you want to know?" And the guy was like, "Well, I'm going around collecting signatures on a petition so that they're trying to stop my church from worshiping the way we want to worship." And the guy was not fucking crazy. He was very well spoken, very polite. He looked sharp as fuck, like really, really sweet guy. And I go, "Okay, what's the problem?" He goes, "Well, in our church, we handle snakes, and that's part of we're one of those kind of churches, you know, like a Pentecostal or whatever." And I went, "Okay," you know, and he goes, "Well, the state, the local government's trying to stop us. They're trying to make it illegal for us to do this. And we think we should be able to worship however we want." And I went, "Okay, well, here's what I think. A, there are already laws in place that protect the snakes. So if you're hurting the animals in any way, you're already breaking the law. Outside of that, you should be able to do whatever you want. We're either free or we're not." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The government can't make you a better person. So trying to protect you from yourself at some level it's not anyone else's responsibility. At some level it is. Like if you're mentally disabled, if there are times when you have to go, "Look, this guy's not fit to operate a chainsaw and run through this town," you know, like some point you've got to have rules. But if those people, I was like, I don't personally do that, but you should be able to do it, I think, as long as you're not hurting anybody. Yeah. That's kind of the big thing. And I made this little speech standing out there in the town, blah, and these people had cameras and stuff like that. And apparently I was in one of the episodes, and it was called something like, oh my God, you can go back and find it on the internet right now. It's something about snake handling churches or something like that. And I was in one of the episodes because they were in Clinton. And apparently they're from around here, maybe like out in Oliver Springs or something. But I was giving this big speech about like, we're either free or we're not, and blah, 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 blah. And like, nobody else can tell you, like, as long as you don't hurt the animal. I want to make sure to like, don't hurt the animals. But if you pull a snake out, pull a snake out and hold it up and it bites you in the fucking face, guess what? I'm sorry. Like, I know there's supposed to be kind of a thing there where you go, I'm going to give up my protection of myself you're testing your faith at that point. And I understand that. And I believe there's a benefit in that. I really do. I believe there's a spiritual benefit in testing Like a lot of people go, yeah, I believe it, just be a good person. And they go off and don't be a fucking good person. But like at some point, really testing your faith, I think is good for you. And I think at the core of people do dumb shit in the name of religion. Like go to an island and fuck with these people that don't need to be fucked with and they wind up getting killed or they get bit in the face by a snake or again, the human factor in all this is what screws it up. But most people that subscribe to some kind of a religion, down at the core, it doesn't do anything bad. It only does good things for them. It gives them a reason to try to do good stuff. It gives them something to kind of like keep them going. You know what I mean? Down at the core. And that actually comes from a hero of mine, a guitar player named Steve Vai, that talked about having, somebody asked him at a big Q&A thing, like, what you seem like you've written about religion, but you're ambiguous. He said, well, I've been all over the world and I've seen a lot of different religions. And like at the core, they all kind of come down to one thing, is it sort of tests the person in a way that's good for the person. So I don't think it's bad. And he said, I'm not trying to be offensive, but you asked, and that's why I said it. So again, I think if you have beliefs and you have things like that, that's great. But I think when you start to go off and do crazy things because of them, you're taking a risk. You're taking a risk, you know? Like
actually, where I lived in my first house off of Lovell Road, I was less than a half a mile away from a snake church.
No shit.
Yeah.
Man. And I don't know. I've seen videos of it. Like, again, I'm not here to judge, and I'm not going to say the way anybody worships is wrong. I don't think anybody can say that. But
when I watched that one video and that guy got bit in the face, I felt bad because I verbally was just like, well, that's what you get for handling a rattlesnake.
Yeah, dude. And I've been on a lot of I've done a lot of spiritual exploring, you know, and I've talked to a lot of people who know a lot more about it than I do. And again, I would point out that if anybody's currently doing that search, somebody you really need to go talk to is our friend Adam Lutz down at Awaken City Church in the Old City. He's great. But a lot of, you know, like I've known people that didn't let their kids read Harry Potter because that's
a shame because it's great books.
It's great books. It dealt with sorcery. I've known people that didn't let their kids and their family, as a family, they didn't celebrate Halloween because they thought it had a diabolical side to it. It was demonic. A lot of people criticize C.S. Lewis for writing one of his most popular books, The Screw Tape Letters. It was about a couple devils trying to conspire against these people, you know, and they'd said that it was diabolical. It shouldn't be listed as he was like, I'm a theologist. It's a theological story, you idiots. Anyway.
When I worked at Books A Million, people would come in and put like
those pamphlets,
those like alcohol pamphlets where the syrups were for coffee.
Jesus Christ.
And I would pull them out and be like, this is not even alcohol. There's like, don't drink the devil's juice. Don't be tempted by the devil's liquid.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Well, and you know, I eventually stopped listening to idiots and started asking smart people that were very religious, you know, like, what do you think about this? Like, are people bad? If somebody has a beer, are they bad for that? If somebody likes Halloween, are they bad for? And they said, here's the thing. Like, what's the point? What is the point of all of this? Like, are you doing something, like, are you turning away from something important because you do those things? You know, and you have to kind of look at like, what's the real issue here? Like, not is it bad to do a thing if you do it with like a whole heart? Anyway, I'm probably going to cut all this out, but basically, like, people can do whatever they want, but again, you've got to use your brain, and you know, I don't know.
I think going back to my first statement, if this guy had just maybe, you know, minded his own business
or found another way. I don't know. Who knows what people do? Fucking people.
Oh well.
So okay, I had a kind of a funny thing happen.
Lighten the mood up a little bit, please.
I think this is kind of funny. So anyway, I have some plants. Well, let me back up. So for the last like week, I started noticing there was this odd smell in my house. And it smelled kind of like birdseed. If you've ever smelled birdseed up real close, or maybe like a handful of like the food you get to feed like the goats at the zoo or something, it just had this like barnyard smell. For lack of a better fucking explanation, I know that's real fucking scientific, but it just was this mealy smell. And I was like, what's that? What the fuck is that? And I checked like the cat tray and it was clean. And I like picked the cats up and smelled them individually. Like, one of you guys smelling weird? And one of the cats had like thrown up, and I thought, and I don't know why I thought that was it, because they do that all the time. But I was like, maybe this time, I don't know. And I fucking dialed up all my air fresheners and like, really like I vacuumed and I was like, what the fuck is that
Picture
smell?
like the little cardboard Christmas trees hanging from your ceiling.
Yeah, dude. I was like, okay, I'll get it done. And I guess I would get used to it and leave the house. And then every night I'd come home, I'd smell it again. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And I decided, and I went through all these levels of figuring. I was like, oh, it's something that having to do with the heater. The heater's like the motor's burning out on the heater, like because it smelled like it was coming out of the vents, maybe. And I was like, and I'm taking the panel off, looking in at the heater in the wall, like the HVAC unit, and like, oh man, there's a dead animal. I convinced myself something had died either in the wall or in the fucking like HVAC or the heating system or something, and it was blowing just like
dead carcass,
just blowing rotten carcass up at me. And I was literally like poking around in the walls with a flashlight, all kinds of shit, like trying to figure out where this smell was coming from. And this has been going on for like nearly a week. And so the other night, pretty sure after you and I got done working on our Christmas project down here, I went home. Pretty sure this is the night that it happened. Maybe 3 days ago. I get home, it's worse than ever. The smell is, and I'm just like, God damn it, that's it. That's it. What is this fucking smell? I decide I'm just gonna start ripping things apart till I find it. I go first to the wall unit, like where the heater is, like the vent, and I think maybe the filters are dirty. I don't know. And I notice the smell's really strong over there. I look around, and I'm like in the corner of my kitchen where there's nothing except a table and a couple of plants and like the cat food. And then it leads to the laundry room. There's nothing there. And I fucking look, and all of a sudden I notice that like, now keep in mind, the plants I have, I brought home from, this is depressing, I brought home from funerals. Like one was my mom, one was my dad. And those have been years ago. So I've had these two plants. One of them's kind of little. It's on a stand. The other one's big. It goes up from the floor. They don't require a lot of light. It's those kind of plants,
Yeah.
And you water them like twice a week and they're fine. And they don't have flowers or anything like that. They just have big green leaves. So I figured I might as well try to keep them alive. They're nice. They're nice plants, And so one of them, for the first time ever, sprouted this weird like line of flowers all on one little vine at the top. Like they just came right up out of the top of it. And it had these bizarre white looking flowers that were like round. And these things don't grow flowers ever. I'm talking, I've probably had the thing 5-6 years. And all of a sudden, these weird flowers grew out of the top of it. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And I went over, as I got closer, the smell got worse.
So the flowers were smelling.
But listen, as I got even closer than that, I noticed that the whole little vine that the flowers were on had this weird goo on it. Like this, it looked like clear glue or something.
I hope you didn't touch it.
Listen. So, and I was like, what the fuck is this poison death flower thing that's growing out of the top of my...
You didn't notice it was going to grow and climb into your bedroom and choke you in your sleep.
When I found it, it was probably 10 inches long or something, not quite a foot long.
Yeah.
And there were probably like 8 flowers on it. Little ones, maybe the size of a quarter. And all this goo. The goo was like leaking either out of the flowers or out of the vine or whatever like that. But I remember like going... And as I put my face close to it, the smell was overwhelming. It smelled fucking terrible. And I was like, what the fuck is my flower? What is my plant doing? Growing this alien arm to like come get me or what? And I was like, and again, this has never happened. I've had this plant like 5 years. It's never made a flower.
Please tell me you Googled it and it's like every 5 years it sprouts flowers.
Well, I didn't Google it. I was just like, I'm getting that fucking thing off of there. And so I took out my knife and I reached way down at the base of the new thing, and just like hacked it off and threw it in the trash. I was like, fuck you. I cut it off and it hasn't grown back, but I cut it off. But while I was holding it to throw it in the trash, a little bit of that goo got on my hand and it made my whole hand go numb.
What?
Yes, to the touch. It numbed like my fingers and my thumb and like my entire hand like went numb. And I was like, oh, great. There's like some weird paralyzing frog poison or something that leaked out of this plant,
You know how... I mean, this goes right back to minding your own business. You should have minded your own business.
It smelled so fucking bad. I couldn't do it. The plant should have minded its own fucking business.
That's fair. But
and not grown a flower dick in my house.
You know how close you got?
That plant was trying to fuck. That plant wanted to fuck. No fucking, buddy. Not in my kitchen.
You know how close you got to that? I mean, it made your hand go numb. What if it was one of those things where you touched it and it literally like just, I mean, had like a necrosis on it or something that started rotting you.
I'm pretty sure they wouldn't sell plants like that.
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was something like your cats brought in from outside and rummaged around, and like a seed fell out of their little paw toes, and
into the plant, and it grew just bizarre.
Maybe that
now it's an alien.
Plant.
I don't know. That's the part that fucked me up so bad. Was going, how long has this evil been dormant in my kitchen in this seemingly peaceful plant?
I'm going to Google this while we continue to talk.
Okay, yeah.
I'm just going to Google weird white flower.
Gooey flowers out of plant after 5 years of not ever being there. What the fuck did this plant do? There's probably some botanist listening to this going, you idiot, didn't you know that the plant has to germinate?
Is any of those the flower?
Kind of looks like that thing on the right, on the multiple picture there. Casey held up his phone. There's a picture of like a weird gooey flowers.
One of those?
Kinda, sorta.
Oh, man. Let's see.
It almost looked like honeysuckle blossoms or something coming out of it.
With bad smell.
Bad smell. Smelled horrible. And it diffused. It diffused throughout my house.
Stinking corpse lily. I wonder if it was that.
Well, let me see it. Stinking corpse lily. That's a great band name, by the way. I'm gonna get a job playing bass for Stinking Corpse Lily.
See. Oh man,
we're Norwegian.
No, I don't think it can be the Stinking Corpse Lily. That looks like a giant weird fungus.
No, that looks like an octopus butt or something. It's not that. But no, dude, it seriously made my hand go numb. The feeling came back pretty quickly. No, they didn't look like that. Tiny little wispy flowers. So anyway, it's still in the trash at home. I haven't taken that bag of trash out yet. But yeah.
This is going to bother me now because I don't know what that goo was.
But I will tell you this. After I threw it away and woke up the next day and
the smell was completely gone.
I came back, it smelled fucking great in my house because I'd activated all these air fresheners. And I was like, it smells like Christmas in here now that I killed the flower dick of that plant. Fucking crazy.
I don't know. That is weird. That's like that's the start of a science fiction movie. Like,
it totally
you touch that,
is.
And then all of a sudden you start turning into a flower.
Yeah,
and then
they start growing out of your bed, and
yeah.
they're coming up out of the toilet. They're everywhere. They're just numbing the fuck out of you.
That's dangerous. What you just did. You should have worn gloves.
I should have licked it. I should have been like, oh, I'm gonna get fucked up, man.
Unless it numbed your organs and you died.
Why do you think people drink?
Oh my god.
I'm just saying. That's my scary plant story.
You literally had the thing in your house from John Carpenter. Like you had a John Carpenter movie in your house.
Dude, and the thing is, I know that it was like a sex thing. I know that it was like the plant trying to like germinate or pollinate or what it was trying to fuck.
Yeah.
That plant wanted to fuck in my kitchen.
I really think your cat's brought in
Nobody
some weird...
does any fucking in my kitchen except
Do your cats
me.
go outside ever?
No.
No?
Never.
I don't know then. That's weird.
And they didn't seem to like even pay any attention to it at all. They didn't give a fuck.
That's probably because they were licking on it.
Maybe. I don't know.
They're like, whatever, dude.
Of course, they produce cat piss, the worst smelling thing literally in the universe.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
I actually, when I moved into an apartment over off Western Avenue, Gable's apartment, the people before me had cats and they just let them go wherever. So it took forever to get the smell out. And when I moved out, because I had a cat there as well.
Yeah.
When I moved out, the lady, because I couldn't figure out where the smell was coming from. They couldn't either. They put in new carpet. They scrubbed the whole place down before I moved in. It was not as noticeable, so I just didn't say anything. But when I moved out, it got worse, and I think my cat added to it. And we finally figured out there was a fireplace in the apartment, and they put 2 wooden logs in there, and I never used it. And my cat and probably the people before me, cats, were going into the fireplace and peeing all over,
pissing on those logs. Oh my god!
And she said that she pulled the logs out, and they were like rotten with cat piss. And I was like, well, that makes sense because I closed, like, whenever I first moved in, the glass shield was open, and I took the little door shield or whatever, like little slider, and slid in there. I was like, I'm never going to use that, so I just cut it off, and that's why the smell never got bad. But every now and then I'd clean, and I'd take it out to clean, and my cat would get in there.
Man, I'm here to tell you, I love cats. I'm totally a cat person. I think they're generally really low maintenance. You don't have to bathe them. All you have to do really is feed a cat and give it water.
Yeah.
Like they handle their own poop and pee, like they cover it up, like if you give them a good place to do it, if you train a cat, okay, it's pretty low maintenance creature. That said, if you don't handle those things right, like it could be a real fucking pain in the ass. Like the smell of a cat tray is the worst Like I'm highly scientific about mine. I use 2 different kinds of litter. I mix them. One is more for odor control. One is more for clumping. And I get them all together. I have a big, deep litter box. I have 4 giant.
I feel like when you go shopping for cat supplies, people are just
I have to make several trips in the house with fucking carrying the litter. Oh yeah, I totally look like a crazy guy. I've got a bunch of cat food, cat treats, cat litter.
You got like a denim jacket with punk bands on it, so people are like, I can't tell if he's cool or not.
I'm obviously buying food for one. They're just like, oh.
You have like $160 in cat supplies and then 1 Hungry Man tray.
Yeah. Or I'm buying I've got 6 bags of pork rinds. Yeah, that's me.
You're just like, you go to check out and you're like, don't look at me.
Yeah, it's get to the point now where they see me coming in the store and they all get these like sad looks, and I'm just like, I'm doing okay, motherfucker. I'm doing okay. Okay. I got all what I want. They don't know that I have some cool guitars at home too. So I'm very methodical about my cat business.
I just picture this old lady. You're just like, I'm cool. And she's like, yes, you are. You're so cool.
The only thing you can't hardly stop them from doing is like scratching the furniture. I mean, I know you can get them a scratching post and you can you can get like a spray bottle or whatever. But at some point, if they want to scratch the chair, they're going to scratch the fucking chair. And I remember talking to our guest, Jessica Clowers. I was like, man, you've had a lot of cats. She goes, I just let them scratch the fucking furniture.
Yeah.
She goes, I like the cats better than the furniture. And I was like, you know what? I do too. So anyway.
Go nuts.
Go fucking nuts. They're so cute. You got anything else?
No, I think...
It's like if we had somebody else here to help us talk about some topics. If there was another... It's like something's missing.
I need a third person, I think.
I know. Like it's almost as if like it's just not complete.
Wait.
Well, okay, that's it. I tell you what, let's wrap up here, saying that if we've learned anything today on the podcast, like I don't know why I feel the need to summarize this, but like I think we touched on a couple things. 1, mind your own fucking business, especially if danger is involved.
2, snow is awesome.
Snow is awesome, but you got to be prepared for it. Again,
And Spencer almost died to the thing from his flower pot.
If you have any seemingly peaceful plants that aren't dangerous in any way, and then they start to grow this weird, dangerous, stinky flower dick, look out. Just look out.
You were about to be in a Goosebumps book. That's what happened. You avoided being in a Goosebumps book.
Dude, if I go back and it's growing back, like me and that plant are gonna
there's 2 this time.
Oh fuck. Or there's one like coming through the wall.
Why just throw the plant away?
Because I like it. It's a nice plant.
Yeah.
It's big too. It's like tall. It's probably like
kill you.
4 or 5 feet tall,
It's trying to kill you, bud.
I don't know. Maybe it was trying to get a little. Maybe it was trying to get the other plant. Maybe they're in love. Maybe they've been across the table from each other this long and they're trying to reach out. Who knows? I feel like now I ruined something that was natural. Well, it smelled like shit, so whatever. So, that said...
smelled like shit, so whatever.
It smelled like shit, so whatever. So that said, you guys, please keep listening to the Beacon House podcast. Please leave us a good review. Review it on iTunes. Review it on any platform that you can. Tell a friend about it. We really appreciate all you guys. I know some of you guys listen from far away, and we love hearing from you. We love just hearing, that you listen every week. And we hope that if there's anything you'd like to hear us talk about, that you'll send us a message. Want to go ahead and say it's not too early to go ahead and start ramping up some questions for the next mailbag episode.
Yeah.
It's never too early. Like, we really, really like those. It doesn't have to be the week before. Start thinking about them. Email them, text them, whatever you got to do. Beacon House.
Come to the meetups.
Come to the meetups. That's always fun. We love seeing you guys face to face. And I think that's about all I got for you today.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of, like we've hinted before, keep an eye out on our YouTube page near the end of the month.
Yeah, we're working on a little Christmas thing. And
we've been working on it for what, 2 months now?
Something like that, yeah. Secretly. We've been working under the cover of darkness, like naughty little elves.
I can't wait.
Is that it?
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Hunter.
Shit.